Good evening. This is BBC Newsline and the top stories from across Northern Ireland. As police investigate what happened to two younger people who died after a concert in Belfast last weekend, there's a warning on the dangers of taking drugs.
If you take an illegal substance, you take an illegal drug, or indeed a substance you don't know what it is, you're running a risk. You don't know what's in it, you don't know the strength of it, and you could come to harm or even die.
A neighbour of Sean Small appears in court, charged with his murder. Investigators search a bog in County Monaghan for the remains of Columba McVeigh, as a ceremony is held to remember all of the disappeared.
I'm happy that there's a search team out there looking for Columba. I'm sad, because just think what they're searching for. They're searching for my brother's remains.
Huge crowds are making their way to this park in Belfast for a concert featuring top acts including Niqab.
The chickenpox vaccine is to be offered to children here for free for the first time.
7 changes for the Ireland rugby team as they prepare for Spain this weekend at the Rugby World Cup.
It's been a day of sunny spells and scattered showers, but very unsettled weather is in the forecast for the weekend. I'll have the details shortly.
It's Friday, the 29th of August. I'm Declan Harvey. Hello. People going to concerts and festivals this weekend are being warned about the dangers of taking drugs. There's been a renewed focus on this since 2 younger people died following an event in Belfast last weekend. The causes of their deaths haven't been established yet. In the Republic, however, where the 3-day electric picnic is underway, festival goers have been told to beware of a highly potent MDMA powder that they say is circulating. Closer to home in Belfast, Kneecap and Fontaine's DC are taking to the stage shortly. Our community correspondent Mark Simpson has this.
It was after an event here in Belfast last weekend that 2 young people died. But exactly what happened to them is still not clear.
We are aware of the tragic deaths of 2 young people in Belfast over the weekend, and I just want to say that's really devastating for their families. I think we all really empathise with how they must be feeling at the minute. I don't have any information about the cause of death. Obviously, we're aware of them. They're being investigated by the police, but at this time, I don't have any information about the cause of death.
In a statement this afternoon, the police said, alongside our investigation, we will continue to take practical steps at events and festivals to reduce harm. From drug amnesty bins to rapid testing of the seized or surrendered drugs and sharing intelligence, we are working closely with health partners and event organisers to help keep people safe. There have been warnings about a so-called bad batch of drugs in the Republic. So what about here?
We have nothing from any of our partners, including the police, including the health service, to suggest that what has been speculated about bad batches of drugs are circulating at the minute. Our messaging around drugs remains the same. If you take an illegal substance, you take an illegal drug, or indeed a substance you don't know what it is, you're running a risk. You don't know what's in it, you don't know the strength of it, and you could come to harm or even die. So our main messaging around people attending festivals or anywhere else is that if you take illegal drugs, that carries a risk.
The amount of drugs in circulation at the moment is causing deep concern.
We have some anecdotal reports from our colleagues in the south of Ireland to say that there's high-strength MDMA, which is around 20 times stronger than people have been taking in recent years. And there's also some concerns around a drug called a cathinone, which is a synthetic drug, and that one's for MCM. These are 2 drugs that we're really worried about. We've also evidence to corroborate that from our colleagues in England.
It is a busy weekend of events and festivals on both sides of the border. And the message from the authorities is clear. Look after yourself and look after your friends. Mark Simpson, BBC Newsline.
The neighbour of a pensioner whose body was found in Newcastle on Sunday has appeared in court, charged with murder. Sean Small was 84 when he died. He'd recently been released from prison. From Newtonards Magistrates Court, Cormac Campbell sent this.
Sean Small's body was found outside his Slievenabrook Avenue home late on Sunday evening. He died after what police described as a brutal and sustained attack. Last night, his 41-year-old neighbour Mark William Brady was charged with murder on a date between August 19th and 24th. Today here at Newtonard's Magistrates Court, Mr Brady appeared in the dock in handcuffs. He spoke to confirm he understood the charge against him. An investigating officer said she could connect him to that charge. No bail application was made and he was remanded in custody and will appear in court again next month. Before that, a mental health assessment will be conducted. No further details of the case were presented in court. Sean Small had recently been released from prison after serving a sentence for sexual offences against a woman described as vulnerable and a teenage girl. Cormac Campbell, BBC Newsline, Newtonards.
Well, it is just approaching 20 to 7 on your Friday evening. Still to come on the programme here, as Ireland prepare for their next game in the Women's Rugby World Cup, we find out what's being done to grow the game at a grassroots level. In the barren boglands of County Monaghan, the search for a body and for answers continues. Investigators are once again hoping to find the remains of one of the disappeared. That is the name given to the group of people murdered and secretly buried by the IRA. Columba McVeigh became one of them in 1975. And today, as diggers continued to break ground, metres away, his sister and other relatives of the disappeared gathered for a ceremony to remember all the victims. The area is just across the border. It's known as Bragan Bog, and that is where our correspondent, my colleague Julian O'Neill, has spent the day. He sent us this.
In the mid-distance, you can see the diggers at work here. A new search brings new hope for Columba McVeigh's relatives, and his sister, Dimna Kerr, was among those who came here today for an annual event to highlight the cases of the disappeared. They gathered with a feeling of optimism that a new search at Bragan Bog might finally end a long and agonising wait for the family of Columba McVeigh. Investigators are currently digging up another section of this landscape in a hunt for the remains of the 19-year-old who was abducted, murdered and secretly buried by the IRA in 1975.
I'm happy. I'm happy that there's a search team out there looking for Columba. I'm sad because just think what they're searching for. They're searching for my brother's remains. When there's no search, you're hoping for another search. When the search starts, you're hoping for it to be successful. So there's always hope.
It's coincidental that a search coincides with this annual event, which marks the International Day of the Disappeared. Other cases involve other locations. There were 17 Troubles victims known as the disappeared, and the remains of 4 have not yet been found, including those of Joe Linsky. One of his relatives was also among those here today.
For Dimna and the McVeighs to come here and look around and think of a 19-year-old boy being absolutely terrified come. Why would anybody even want to do this? It's human rights to have a body brought home, put in the proper place. You know, instead of coming to places like this. You know, it's heartless, and I really think there's an evilness. There's an evilness here. That's the way I feel about this place. And I hope my uncle's not here.
The latest search operation began here about 11 days ago. The area involved is around 60 metres by 60 metres. It's painstaking work, and it could go on for another 3 weeks. Julian O'Neill, BBC Newsline at Bragan Bog.
Well, there's more on the group known as the Disappeared on our website this evening. Over the years, as a result of those painstaking searches, most of the bodies have been located, but as we've been reporting, not all. The address is there for you on your screen. You can also link to it by using the BBC News app. Some breaking news this evening. The Irish humanitarian worker who had been kidnapped in Haiti has been released. Gina Herity, who is originally from Westport in County Mayo, is the director of an orphanage and was among several people understood to have been taken by a gang near the capital Port-au-Prince earlier this month. In a statement, Ms Herity's family confirmed she, alongside the other captives, had been freed, and they thanked those involved in securing her release. The funeral of the former South Belfast MP Martin Smith has taken place. Reverend Smith, who died last week, aged 94, also served as Grand Master of the Orange Lodge between 1972 and 1998. His funeral was held at Alexandra Presbyterian Church in North Belfast, where he was minister for almost 20 years. He tried to become leader of the Ulster Unionist Party, but was beaten by David Trimble. 3 years later, he opposed the Good Friday Agreement. The party's current leader, Mike Nesbitt, described him as a heavyweight in local politics, saying his imprint will last forever. Now, these are live shots as large crowds have been arriving at the Boucher playing fields in South Belfast for the second night of the Vital Music Festival. Dublin band Fontaines DC are top of the bill with support from the rap group Kneecap. They're performing in front of their home crowd after months of controversy. Well, Kevin Sharkey is there for us this evening. Good to see you, Kevin. Looks like the atmosphere is building behind you.
Oh, Declan, quite the carnival atmosphere, and it's been building this past few hours. There are huge numbers arriving here. You can see the main stage just beyond us there, where Fontaines DC will be the main act later this evening. But before that, Kneecap, and this is a homecoming of sorts for Kneecap, and there are thousands of Kneecap fans here this evening waiting in expectation. Of course, it's 8 months since they played in their home city, and since that there's been quite a bit of political controversy around the rap group and police investigations, and of course one member, Liam O'Haney, known as Mo Cara, has been in court on a terrorism charge which he denies. But tonight Kneecap will be performing in front of their home fans, and there are many thousands of fans waiting for them to perform.
And of course, Kevin, separately we've been talking about this police warning about drug use.
Yes, and as you heard my colleague Mark Simpson's report earlier, 2 deaths earlier this week. Now, the police have said they can't say at the moment what caused the deaths. That has to wait for the full coroner's process to take place, and that's how this ordinarily works. So the police have advised people going to concerts like this one here tonight to look out for each other and to look after themselves. And they've also issued a warning to people supplying drugs at concerts like this and elsewhere that they will find them, they will disrupt them, and they will bring them before the courts.
And Kevin, while we have you, I mean, those inside the concert won't be that bothered, but those trying to move around that area of the city this evening will be wondering what kind of impact there is on traffic, for example.
Yes, and as I look towards my left, there are thousands streaming down, still making their way into the concert. Already thousands inside the venue, and as they were making their way, there was traffic disruption around the city, and expect more of that as this crowd disperses and people begin to make their way home for this concert later this evening. Declan.
Kevin, thanks so much. Kevin Sharkey there. Well, for the first time, children here will be offered a free vaccination against chickenpox. From January, the jab will be combined with the vaccine for measles, mumps and rubella, becoming part of the routine infant vaccination programme. Our health reporter Aileen Moyna has more details for you.
Chickenpox is a common infection that mostly affects children, although anyone can get it. It spreads easily as it's highly contagious and causes an itchy, spotty rash. While it's not pleasant, most cases are relatively mild and get better on their own after a week or two, but it can be serious in some people. A chickenpox vaccine has been available privately, but from January it'll be rolled out on the health service in a combined jab as part of the routine childhood vaccination programme. The MMRV vaccine will protect against measles, mumps, rubella and varicella, otherwise known as chickenpox.
Combined vaccines are very safe, and Nobody likes taking their child to get vaccinated. It reduces the number of needles in arms and reduces the distress in the child as well. Currently, the MMR vaccine uptake rate is sitting at around 86%, and we do know that the WHO recommends that MMR uptake rates need to be sitting at 95% to prevent that spread of transmission, particularly for the measles component of the MMR vaccine. Hopefully, the addition of varicella will promote uptake in this. And I suppose what I would remind parents is that you should absolutely take up the offer of vaccine, because it's the best and safest way to protect your child against these very preventable diseases.
The Department of Health said research has shown the significant impact of severe cases of chickenpox on children's health and hospital admissions. So the rollout of this vaccine can help prevent severe illness in children and also save parents taking time off work to look after a sick child. The Public Health Agency says the combined MMRV vaccine will be given in 2 doses at 12 and at 18 months of age, and a catch-up campaign is planned for children up to the age of 6 who haven't had chickenpox, so that they don't miss out on protection against this infection. More details will be provided closer to the time of the vaccination programme rolling out in the new year, and parents will be invited to make an appointment for their child to get the vaccine if they're eligible. Eileen Moyna, BBC Newsline.
Now we're going to turn to sport proper in a moment. Thomas Niblock standing by, but I do want to talk about how Ireland got off to a great start in the Women's Rugby World Cup with a win against Japan last weekend. And many are hoping their success will help inspire a new generation of younger girls to take up the sport. Enniskillen Women's Rugby Club has already been given a cash boost from the National Lottery to help them do exactly that. Bernie Allen has more.
County Fermanagh has a long-standing legacy of female rugby talent, as back in 1887, Enniskillen's Emily Frances Valentine was recognised as the first recorded female rugby player. And that proud tradition of women's rugby is still being felt today, as the National Lottery has chosen Enniskillen Rugby Club as one of its targets for grassroots investment, donating £100,000 to help regenerate the club.
The money was spent on our floodlights here behind me, and also our sand pitch, which meant we had better conditions for games on the pitch. And then just recently we got another grant then from National Lottery to do our second pitch, to floodlight it as well.
Rugby remains the only women's sport where all 4 home nations have qualified for the same major tournament, and many hope funding facilities for grassroots clubs can help more young women envisage a pathway to the world stage.
I really think that the rugby is favoured to men in their development and the funding. I feel that it is changing, and especially with the World Cup at the minute and all the promotional with some of the players that are promoting it through social media.
I think here in Fermanagh we get probably the best support out of all the other clubs, but we definitely do not get enough, especially if we want to make a living out of it. We do not get enough.
With 4 Ulster players named in Ireland's World Cup squad, including Enniskillen's Claire Bowles, many hope more investment in the women's game will help encourage and nurture more future stars. Bernie Allen, BBC Newsline.
Now, as I said, Thomas Niblock is here this evening. Busy sporting weekend ahead. Where do you want to start?
Declan, there's loads going on. Absolutely loads. I don't even know where to start. But let's start at the Rugby World Cup, because obviously it's a massive competition this weekend. And Ireland have made 7 changes to their starting lineup for Sunday's World Cup match against Spain in Northampton. But star player Aoife Wafer is still missing from the matchday squad. Now, it's Ireland's final game before they take on the defending champions New Zealand next week. Nicola McCarthy reports.
Ireland are back on familiar ground for week 2 of their World Cup journey. They impressed here at Franklin's Gardens last Sunday against Japan, scoring 6 tries in a comprehensive victory. This week, there's a big push to impress against Spain.
We're always kind of kept on our toes in terms of competing against each other, because the space that we're in at the moment is we've such a competitive team that there's no out-and-out player for each position. It's really competitive, so I think we know that it's going to change week on week, whether it's 7 changes or 1 change. You're always kept on your toes, so I guess going into this weekend we all knew that you know, after a game, the slate is wiped clean and everybody's competing again for that spot. So yeah, it's competitive, but it's really good.
There's always a balance to strike to these occasions. I think we've mentioned more times than anyone would care to remember how we compete in training. The girls that come in are fully ready. They fully competed their way in. They've earned their spot, and I think we've got the blend right of team and physical capability across the board to get our best game out there against Spain.
Conversing with such ease, and that's the case again for Enya Breen.
This is our first chance to nail that quarter-final position. We think that there's a couple of tactical changes which gives us slightly different things to what we showed against Japan. Now it's just about getting the job done.
A motivated Ireland are strong favourites against a side ranked 13th in the world. That's 8 places below them. But the tests will only get tougher as the tournament goes on. Nicola McCarthy, BBC Newsline, Northampton.
Now, David Healy says there is a big gap between the Irish League and the League of Ireland. Linfield were knocked out of the Europa Conference League by Shelbourne last night, losing 2-0 at Windsor Park. That's a 5-1 defeat on aggregate.
Tonight was our worst performance out of the 4 games that we played. At the most crucial point, the most important point. So again, that's frustrating that we as a group, and again without, I never come and blame the players, but we all feel, and I certainly feel as the manager, disappointed that we haven't grasped the opportunity. But the motto with this football club says, be brave. We're always brave. You lose tonight, we'll respond in a positive manner going forward like we always do, and we'll try and make the most of the next number of games that we have in cup competitions, and more importantly our bread and butter now domestically as a league.
Now, Jude McAtamney and Charlie Smith will once again play another season in American football, but it'll be a first for this guy, Mark McNamee. A former Gaelic football goalkeeper, he'll be involved this season in the practice squad for the Green Bay Packers. He actually made his debut just a day after landing in the United States.
I didn't know until pretty soon before, until I was nearly flying. It was mad. Like my agent rang and was like, yeah, just so you know, if you're there on time, you might suit up. And he was like, what he told me was they're going to leave it up to you if you want to. And I was like, well, if I have a chance to put on a Packer jersey, like, there's no way I'm not taking it. So I was like, that is just, it's not even a question. And then when I got there, like, the coaches were saying, like, the plan is to have you kick off. Are you okay with that? I was like, yeah, I mean, absolutely perfect. I wouldn't say it's a blur, but I mean, you're just so focused on the one task at hand that a lot of the stuff is kind of in the background, and it's more after the game, or even now, like, you know, a couple of weeks later, that you kind of take it in and think, wow, that was a pretty incredible experience to have as my first exposure to NFL, to the NFL at all as a fan or player was that game. This is why I started this kicking the American football, was to get here. So yeah, it's incredible. But, like, you know, it's not the time to sit back and celebrate. You know, it's just the start of the season, and I'm coming in as somebody who hasn't properly played the sport yet. So, like, I have everything to prove, and I'm not seeing this as, you know, obviously it's fantastic to be here. I'm delighted, but there's a lot ahead of me. This is the beginning of it.
Now, the Belfast Giants lost their Champions League game last night, but they had such a chance to win it with just 63 seconds remaining. They were winning 2-1 before the Finnish champions Kalpa equalised. The Giants ended up losing the match 3-2 in overtime.
There's obviously a lot of positives there, but at the end of the day, it's a tough pill to swallow. You know, we had an opportunity to get, you know, a win in regulation against a good team. So yeah, certainly some positives to take, but ultimately, you know, we got to find a way to close that out. A lot of that game, I thought we outplayed them and was pushing the pace, but ultimately they had, you know, some timely scoring. Obviously, they have some very high caliber players, and you know, they were able to come out in the end. We proved that we can play with the big dogs, and Ilves is going to be, you know, just as good, maybe better, just because they'll have played a couple games now. So yeah, we're looking forward to the challenge. I think if we come out with a similar start and similar pace, I'm sure the SSE will be full on a Saturday night. So hopefully we can have another good performance.
Nice finish. Now, the GAA Club Championships continue this weekend across the counties. There's football, rugby, ice hockey, so much more. Plenty going on. As ever, the BBC Sport website has you covered.
Thomas, thanks very much for that. Thomas Niblock there. This is the North Down coast today. Lovely, but do keep an eye on these clouds. They may be the story of the weekend. Barra.
Yeah, lots of them and lots of rain, unfortunately. Not complete washout, but something to bear in mind if you're out and about this weekend. The waterproofs will come in handy. The umbrellas maybe not so, because we have some strong winds in the forecast as well. Now, we've had a scattering of showers today. Also, we've had good spells of sunshine in between the showers. Few and far between, and out there this evening they're beginning to fizzle out. So many people heading out tonight should be largely dry. Small chance of 1 or 2 showers, but they become largely confined towards the west before they clear northwards with a drier spell overnight. Clear spells tonight, temperatures of 11 or 12 degrees for most, maybe a touch cooler in some countryside areas. Now, with some clear spells tomorrow, we get off to a promising start, but it's not going to last long, I'm afraid. Rain and gusty winds in the forecast. So with some early sunshine, then the cloud thickens from the south. We see widespread rain moving in. Some of that's going to be heavy, blustery as well, with some stronger winds developing. It will clear the east coast by hopefully around about mid-afternoon, and behind it across Ireland, sunnier skies are going to follow, but the westerly winds will continue to bring in a scattering of showers. So not completely dry, but tomorrow evening it will be much drier than it will be tomorrow afternoon. Under the rain tomorrow will feel cool, but still temperatures 17 or 18 degrees. So a lot of dry weather tomorrow evening and overnight into Sunday. The winds will ease a little bit as well, but again, those winds easing will only be brief, because they are set to pick up a little bit for Sunday, packing a bit of a punch. Tomorrow night, still 11 or 12 degrees. It's all due to this area of low pressure, which is going nowhere fast over the weekend. It's going to be bringing strong winds at times, some spells of rain and some blustery scattered showers. And some of the showers, as they get going through the day, could come with hail and thunder mixed in as well. So turning much more unsettled through the day and also into Sunday evening. And some of those showers at times could merge into spells of rain. Blustery conditions and temperatures of 16 or 17 degrees. And of course, Sunday, the last day of summer 2025, meteorologically at least. Autumn begins on Monday, and it's going to feel like it as well. Right through next week, low pressure remains dominant and settled at times, spells of rain, some windy weather, some sun as well. So a little bit of everything this weekend.
Barra, thank you very much for that. Well, it is 7 o'clock on a Friday evening. Remember, if you are looking at something for the weekend, the latest episode of our news podcast, The State of Us, is available now on BBC Sounds. Myself and Tara talking to our guests about what it costs to survive in Northern Ireland these days. It's all there for you. Have a great weekend. Join us back here again on Monday, 6:30. Bye-bye.